Welcome to the GNBS in 30, a program where we tell you about the Ghana National Bureau of Standards and what we do to serve you. In last month's edition, we spoke about the training opportunities offered by the GNBS. This month, we have with us a representative from the Competition and Consumer Affairs Commission, where we will speak with you about consumer rights and things that you can do to protect yourselves. With me today, I have Ms. Rosante Perry, the Consumer Officer acting at the CCAC, Mr. Lloyd David, the Public Relations Officer at the GNBS, and Mr. Lorenzo Gill, the Senior Inspector at the Product Compliance Department of the GNBS. We'll be starting with Ms. Perry, who will tell us a little bit about Consumer Rights Day, which was observed earlier in this month.
Thank you, Ms. Katun. Yes, the CCSC would have joined with the rest of the world on March 15 to celebrate World Consumer Rights Day under the theme Tackling Plastic Pollution. And while we understand that it's a systemic change from governments and businesses that can truly have an immediate impact, we thought it best to engage consumers and let them think about simple things, whether it's using a cloth bag instead of a plastic bag, just so that we can mitigate this issue.
It's all about things that you can reuse and recycle.
Yes, recycle, yes, that is a part of the 7 R's.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the CCAC does to protect consumers or to ensure that consumers know their rights?
No problem. Yes, so the Competition Consumer Affairs Commission was established in 2006, but we became fully operational in 2010. We are mandated to execute the laws under the acts, and that is the Competition and Fair Trading Act and the Consumer Affairs Act. The Consumer Affairs Act protects consumers from being unfairly treated by businesses and also provides a legal framework by which businesses can operate. And so what we do intense advocacy because we want consumers to be aware of what their rights are so that they can demand it from suppliers. And so what we want is that consumer protection must become the culture in Guyana. We must not have to go to the United States or another country to know that, oh, I can return an item or I can get a refund. So we're hoping that CCSC can become a household name and consumers can understand that they are protected under the Act.
What are some of the things that consumers can come to you about? Is it anything or is there a range of items?
At the CCAC, we deal with complaints for durable goods and services. So it means food items and so on, we cannot deal with complaints of the like. So our complaints would range from vehicles, defective construction projects, cell phones, and a range of other items.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Lloyd, can you tell us what the GNBS does when it comes to protecting consumers?
Thank you, baby. The Ghana National Bureau of Standards, as you know, and many persons viewing this program know, is a consumer protection body. It was established in 1984 under the Standards Act, and it has some power under the Act to ensure that consumers are protected. There are many ways in which we do that, and most of it is through the services that we provide. So based on the services that the Ghana National Bureau of Standards provide, consumers are protected. A key service that the Ghana National Bureau of Standards provide is weights and measures, or where we verify all weighing and measuring devices used in commercial trade. This has to do with measurements, which are critical and almost applicable to every aspect of our daily lives. Right? As consumers, as businesses, wherever you are, you're engaged in some form of measurement. And there must be some entity established to ensure that when you purchase goods and services in relation to measurements, you're getting value for your money. And there is where the Ghana National Bureau of Standards comes in. But we, of course, focus on measurements in trade. We don't want to be coming into someone's house and try to determine what they should measure and what they should not measure. We want to do that in trade because money, there's a transaction going on in terms of money value. So the GNBS verifies scales, weights, measures, all these devices that are used in the marketplace, even the petrol pumps. Wherever there's a scale, wherever there's a weight, a measure, the GNBS engage in that. And why? Because we want the users of those scales to do the right thing. We want them when they sell the consumer is not cheated. And that is why it's important for the GNBS to offer that key service. There are many other services where we work with businesses to ensure that their products meet certain requirements, and obviously labeling and quality requirements, which can benefit consumers when they make their purchase, because they can now read what the product can be used for. That's a key form of protection, because you understand what the product can do for you through the labeling. And also, in terms of quality, when you use it, the product is durable, it's long lasting, you get the value for your money out of it. So, quality products, we help businesses to manufacture and produce so that consumers can benefit.
When it comes to scale, after learning this, even I find myself looking for the stamp and wondering whether I'm getting what I actually paid for. What can consumers look for when they go into the markets to know that, this scale was approved by the GNBS?
Well, before we get there, I'd just like to let consumers know that the GNBS verifies scales twice yearly. And during the period January to March, we're actually in March, and we're wrapping up our verification of devices. But as a consumer, when you go to the market, you want to check to ensure that the scale that you're buying from is working properly. Importantly, before that, you want to ensure that the scale is verified. On the scale, we affix a red seal, a red verification sticker, as you might know, that indicates that that scale was verified for the particular period. So if you have the opportunity, I know that many times vendors, they try to do that, their weighing business somewhere far away from the consumer, and then they bring the product and say this costs so much, or this is so much. Really, that scale should be not too far from you. It should be in your sight where you can actually see the weighing process. And at the same time, look for that verification sticker, which offers guidance regarding the verification of that particular device.
All right, thank you, Lloyd. Lorenzo, the GNBS monitor 17 items, 17 categories of items to protect consumers. Can you tell me about those?
Okay. Like you said, there's about 17 categories of commodities that the GNBS monitor. And some of those commodities are electrical appliances, garments, footwear, tires, gas stove, toys and playthings, and so on. And we would normally monitor these items. We normally check the labeling requirements of them to ensure that they meet the labeling requirements of the national standards. Also, we ensure that importers and dealers and manufacturers of products are registered. That's the local manufacturers. Some of the local manufacturers are for furniture and garments. We also do inspection on those manufacturers, dealers as well. We do inspection at port of entries, and it's basically to ensure that the commodities that is being imported, they meet the requirements of the national standards. Some of the things we check for, like for instance, the electrical appliances, we check to ensure that there is a brand name, a model number, a current rating, voltage, the frequency, and most importantly, a certification mark. And how does this protect the consumer? Let's look at a blender, right? If one purchases a blender and he or she doesn't know what is the voltage for the blender, right? Or doesn't know the voltage for the area, then they can go and make a wrong purchase. So if you know the area, it's a 110, the area is 110 volt. When you go to make a purchase, you examine, you check to see that the blender is 110 volt or 120 volt, and so you can make the correct purchase. That's one thing in which the consumer can check for, right? So we ensure that products that are being imported, like for instance the electrical appliances, ensure that they're fully labeled and they comply with the requirements of the national standards. Same goes for the garments and so on. It is very, very important to for these information like the care and use and the washing instructions and so on these labels. And why is it important is because consumer could actually read the label, and if the label says to do not iron or dry clean only, then the customer would know that, hey, this is one way in which I could care this product. So we at the GNBS, we ensure that products that are coming in, We inspect them to ensure that the labeling requirements meet the requirements of the national standards. We're currently building capacity to do testing, right? So right now we're more so focusing on the labeling aspect.
When it comes to products that are manufactured locally, do you check those as well?
We check the furniture and we check the garments that are being manufactured locally here in Guyana.
And you also inspect tires as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what do you look for?
Okay, for the tires, we basically check to ensure the tires that are the new tires that are being imported, they're not 2 years and the tires 2 years and older should not be imported into Guyana. Tires 6 years and older should not be sold to a customer, right? We also check for cracks on sidewall, damaged bead area, low tread depth, uneven wear. These are defects, and once we find these defects, we reject these tires and we destroy these tires. So consumers, they themselves, when they go to make a purchase, of a tire, they can check to ensure that there is no cracks, there is no cracks on the sidewall, there is no damaged bead area, the tire has no uneven wear, and these kind of things. Yeah.
We spoke about electrical items, the tires, garments. What is one other thing that is important, and then can you include what consumers can look for on their end?
For the furniture, let's look at the furniture. We visit these furniture dealers and manufacturers and so on, and we encourage them to have the furniture label, right? It must have the name of the manufacturer, the country of origin, the type of material, the type of finish, whether it's paint, lacquer, stain, varnish, and it should and must have a precautionary note for general usage and care. Now, it is very, very much important for it to have that label for the precautionary note. Why this is important? Because it helps guide the customer as to how to care for this item. Now, you have some furniture that you're supposed to use the linseed oil or a particular product to clean this piece of furniture. It is important to adhere to the label, the information on the precautionary note, so that you can be better able to care for the product, right? Because some people would take the label say to use linseed oil, but they're taking a cloth with some, with water, and they're wiping the product, and then over a period of time, something happened to the piece of furniture, and they might want to go back to the supplier and say, hey, look what's happening to this thing. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the product has a problem. It means that because of how they would have cared for it, resulted in the problem, right? So it is very, very much important for persons to adhere to the instructions and the labeling information. The labeling information is not only for the GNBS inspectors to see when they go there to the inspection on products, but it's also to help the customer to care for the product, right? Whether it be a piece of garment, whether it's a pair of footwear, whether it's electrical appliances, whatever it is, these information is very, very much important to everybody.
You mentioned that you check the items at the ports of entry. How about visits to the warehouses or wherever they're kept?
Yes, we do inspection at the port of entries. We do inspection at importers' bond warehouses, sale outlets, and so on. Yes, we do inspection there.
How can persons get you to go and visit a sale outlet or a bond per se?
Okay, there's like I would have mentioned earlier, there's a list of commodities that the GNBS monitors. Some of those commodities, persons are required to have a permit to sell, right? Like for instance, the cell phone dealers, the tire dealers, the furniture dealers, they're required to have permits to sell. So when we find persons selling, we would normally do routine visits to, and this is being done countrywide, to ensure that these products that are offered for sale meet the requirements of the national standards, right? Importers would usually, well, because there's a system, we have the Asecuda World, so the GNBS would normally see what is it, because we're on that as well. We would normally see what importers are bringing in and so on. So from that, we would normally do inspections at either at the warehouse or at the sale outlets.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now take a break as we bring a message to you from the GNBS. Welcome back. Ms. Perry, Mr. Gill was just now speaking about the items that are monitored by the GNBS, and one of them mentioned was the electronic items. This has been in the news and one of the top complaints meeting the CCAC. Can you tell us what has been major concerns raised?
Once we receive a complaint, we first have to verify that we have the necessary jurisdiction. Once we have the jurisdiction, we have to now involve an independent expert because we function objectively, and so we want to ensure that we see who is liable, whether it's the consumer or if it's the supplier. Once that written report is submitted to the CCAC and it's reviewed, we would then contact the necessary parties. If it's a result of consumer negligence, we would update the consumer. If it's the supplier issue, then we have to contact the supplier to provide a form of redress. And also how we deal with complaints that we receive frequently, because we want to be proactive. We would also conduct business inspection exercise. So we would visit the premises of the various business locations, maybe because we receive a high number of complaints, to see, and ensure that they are compliant with the Consumer Affairs Act and ensure that they are fully informed. Additionally, we would usually collaborate with the Guyana National Bureau of Standards in the event we notice that we are receiving a number of complaints, for example, cell phones. We made a recommendation to the GNBS to have a standard for cell phones. Quite recently, we would have made a recommendation for a standard for used vehicles. So those are just some of the measures that we take once a complaint is received.
How is it that customers go about filing their complaint?
Yes, all right. So if you'd like to file, or if a consumer would like to file a complaint with the CCAC, they can do so online via our website, that is ccac.gov.gy, or they can visit our office at the National Exhibition Center. There they would be required to complete a complaint form and provide the necessary documents such as a receipt or contract, if that was a part of the transaction.
Earlier, you also mentioned the construction complaints. Can you tell me a little bit about the range of complaints? How do you go about addressing those as well?
Sure, yes. So since we launched our Home Builders Roadmap last December, we have noticed an influx of construction complaints, ranging from unfinished work, defective work, or materially different, which simply means that what the consumer would have asked for, that is not what the contractor would have provided. And for all construction complaints, we have to have an independent expert involved to, again, assess the area, sometimes provide an assessment of the work done, the value of the work done, identify the defects and how it can be corrected. And once our report is provided, we engage both parties, that is the consumer and supplier, and we come and we decide what is the form of redress. Either it's a refund, or the contractor has to repair or replace if there's any item that was missing or cannot be reused.
If in some instance the contractor refused to do any one of those things, then what do you do?
All right, if the contractor refuses to provide the redress, then the complaint is forwarded to our Board of Commissioners for a hearing. And after that hearing, a ruling is given and the supplier is given another opportunity to provide the redress. If that is not done within the stipulated time frame, then the matter is forwarded to the court.
Have you had any instance to forward things to the court so our listeners can know that you are going to the end of the process, whatever it takes to
Okay, so currently, yes, we have a few complaints that suppliers did not comply, and so we are currently performing the assessment to prepare that case to go to court. So it's not that after the hearing we're just going to leave it. We are very adamant and passionate about consumers receiving their redress and seeing that they're not taken advantage of.
All right, thank you very much. Before I switch to Lloyd, can you also remind consumers what they can do to protect themselves?
Yes, so we have highlighted the rights of consumers, but we want consumers also to know that they have responsibilities. And one such responsibility is to ensure that when you make a purchase, to always collect a receipt. Also, we want you to ensure that if it's a product that attracts a warranty, that you demand 6 months of warranty, because the Consumer Affairs Act only states in the absence of a written warranty, then the supplier should has to provide 6 months. So demand that 6 months of warranty. Also, if it's an event where a contract has to be signed, kindly read your contracts before signing. And also just be vigilant. Check your products before you leave the store. You have the right to a refund also. So ensure if it is that you purchase a product, take good care of it. In the event you have to have that refund, ensure to keep your receipts safely so that you can return to the store with it.
And when you return to the store, the businesses are supposed to charge a restocking fee?
Yes, if it is that you are returning an item, then yes, the business can charge up to 10% restocking fee. But you also have to ensure, and this is another responsibility of the consumer, the item has to be unused and not tampered with. Pretty much it has to be in the original condition, and the consumer should present the receipt.
So persons shouldn't have that no return, no refund
No,
sign.
that's illegal, and that's why pretty soon we will be commencing our business inspection exercise to ensure that businesses do not have of that sign. It's against the Consumer Affairs law.
Thank you.
No problem.
Mr. David, can you tell me a little bit about what consumers can do to protect themselves coming from the GNBS point of view?
So consumers have a responsibility. In terms of the GNBS, we offer services to ensure that consumers are protected. But they themselves have a responsibility in terms of if they're going to buy a product, buy a measurement, they need to ensure that the device from which the measurement is done is a verified one. As I mentioned earlier, to know how that is, you can check for a seal, the GNBS verification seal. So if you're going to go into a gas station and you're going to buy some fuel, you want to check the sticker or the seal that is on the pump that indicates when last that device was verified. Also, you need to understand the GNBS, as Lorenzo mentioned, we monitor for labeling too. So if you're going to buy some products, a particular product that the GNBS monitors, you need to ensure that the labeling information is there when you're going to purchase, and you follow the guidelines of that information. You don't want to have a scenario where you misuse the product because you did not pay attention to the labeling. For example, put it into 240 when you should put it into 110. You need to be very careful with that. The information is there for you. The GNBS monitors to ensure that this information is there. And you need to ensure that you be guided accordingly. So as a consumer, you can get the full benefit from your product or your service that you.
Aside from the skills, we also provide certification, product certification, and some other certification where persons can not, in this instance, they look for a sticker or a seal, but there are other instances where they can look for a certificate on a business as a consumer. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, the GNBS certified products and laboratories under our various certification program. So under the laboratory certification program, we certify medical and testing laboratory. The idea is that when these laboratories are certified, you can rely on the results coming from them. You can have confidence in the results that are coming from them. Certification allows the lab to streamline its processes and activities so that there will be for example, no mixing of results and all of that. There will be strict guidelines and procedures followed so that at the end of the day, you as a patient feeling sick and you would like to know what is wrong with you, when you go to a certified lab, you're assured of the results that you receive. In terms of product certification, the GNBS certify a number of products, including concrete hollow blocks, gold jewelry, and we recently certified fiberglass tubs manufactured by a particular manufacturer. And we ensure that systems also are put in place. There's a standard. As long as there's a national standard, the standard will highlight the testing requirements that will determine if that product is of quality. As long as that is done, the manufacturer can be certified. That is, the product meets the requirement, right? The manufacturer can be certified by the GNBS, and this provides confidence to consumers. So when you see the GNBS certification mark, which is the GNBS in a double wall circle on a product, you go to buy your PVC pipe because we also certify those. When you see that mark on the product, you should have the confidence that, you know what, the GNBS did its part to ensure that this product conformed to standards through the various testing, and you can actually use this product whether it's in your home building, as in the case of the PVC pipe. When you buy that jewelry, that GNBS certification mark, you have the confidence that it's actually 14 karat and not 9. And so many things. You buy your plastic towel, your fiberglass tub, you have the confidence that when you relax in it, it's not going to fall apart under some circumstance. So the GNBS is playing its part in terms of consumer protection. We not only do that through weights and measure, we do it through our certification services.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Gill, can you tell us a little bit about what consumers can do when it comes to the products that you inspect?
Okay. Some of the things consumers should ensure that they do. Let's look at the tires. Consumers should ensure that when they're making the purchase of a tire, they should ensure that they buy the correct tire. Because you have commercial tire, you have passenger tires. You have persons taking passenger tires and they're putting it on a commercial vehicle. Right, so these are things that they can check. They could ensure that the tires that they're buying it suit the need. It's for the correct vehicle, so they can play a part in terms of ensuring, not because you got to get a tire, meaning you just go and buy any size of tire, any type of tire, and you put it on your vehicle. Also, like the electrical appliances, ensure that they examine it, it fits their need, right? Let them, person shouldn't just go and buy something because for the sake of buying it. You want a blender to blend fruits, right? You're selling fruits. Now, you don't want to take a domestic blender and use a domestic blender to be blending fruits that you're actually selling in large quantity. Is going to damage the blender. So know exactly what is it you want, right? You have domestic items, you have industrial items. Know exactly what is it you want. Look for the dealers and the importers that are registered with the GNBS. Importers, usually those that are registered with the GNBS, they have a registration certificate, and they usually post it up in the business place. The dealers, they have a permit to sell, whether it's a permit to sell cell phones, permit to sell furniture, permit to sell tires, permit to sell electrical fittings and equipment, right? Consumers should look for these dealers that are registered with the GNBS, because once you register with the GNBS, it means that our officers would have done an inspection, and the products that are offered for sale meet the requirements of the GNBS. So look for these certificates and ensure that whatever it is you're buying fits your needs.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Perry, can you share with us the numbers to get onto the CCAC?
Yes, so if you'd like to contact the CCAC, you can reach us on the number 219-4410, and the extension, it's 104. That number again, it's 219-4410.
All right, thank you guys. To contact the GNBS, you can contact us on 219-0064-66, and we're located at Flat 15 Sophia Exhibition Site, where you can call us or come into us and offer a wide range of services, access a wide range of services that we offer. You can also follow our Facebook page, the Ghana National Bureau of Standards, where we constantly update you on training opportunities and other things that we have ongoing at the Bureau. Thank you for listening.
The Guyana National Bureau of Standards National Quality Awards is here again. If your business is into manufacturing, services, or agro-processing, then it is eligible to participate. Seize the opportunity, get in the spotlight. Size does not matter. Just choose your category and apply. To learn more, contact the Guyana National Bureau of Standards on 219-0064. You can also visit the website at www.gnbsgy.org.